I woke up and realized I left my tools on a job site. I woke up and I realized I'd left on an attic light. I wish that I could unknow and get my life back. But I woke up, realized that I'm a hack, 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 hack. I am here to confess I leave run caps in their boxes. I would like to clear my name, but I leave drain plugs in a 48 frame. I wish that I could unknow and get my life back. But I woke up and realized that I'm a hack, hack, hack.
Just a dirty hack. Good rotten hack.
Hello guys, welcome back to HVAC Shop Talk. Today I have Ted Cook back with me here for a nice conversation. Never got to finish our conversation last time and there was so much more to talk about. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about some zoning stuff. I asked Ted some questions, and you guys, we're going to have a great time. Just ask my dog here. He doesn't answer stuff like that. He's a dog. So let's get this show kicked off with some fake news. My name is Zach Ciota, and this is the HVAC Fake News. If anyone knows how to cure a rash that reoccurs on your lower back, please email me today. In order to expand their empire, Nordyne and its 47 different brands are expanding their marketing and creating a marketing blitz to go out to their target demographic. In order to reach their demographic, Nordyne will be advertising mostly on Marlboro cigarettes and crystal meth packaging. The hashtag #MakeR22 Great Again has resurfaced and is becoming stronger than ever. Technicians and installers alike are pushing to bring back the more manageable refrigerant with the lower flammability. In response, the EPA said they would bring back R22 if they could somehow find a way to make it more dangerous and flammable. Supporters of R22, when confronted by environmentalists who complained about the ozone layer depletion, responded, "If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen." The heat being deadly ultraviolet rays and the kitchen being all of the earth. When asking famous salesperson and trainer Weldon Short about his ability to overcome objection when presenting sales to a customer, he responded it was easy to overcome objections being trained so heavily at his senior prom. In order to expand inclusiveness and diversity and an understanding of our worldly friends, many companies are showing movies in the workplace that demonstrate people of all types, sizes, and colors working together. Many of these films include Glory with Matthew Broderick, Lean on Me, and of course, Django Unchained. This was the HVAC Fake News with me, Zach Ciota. Hello, guys, and welcome back to Air Conditioners on Saturday Night, your favorite show to talk about air conditioning when you should be out with your family. This is HVAC Shop Talk. My name is Zach Ciota. I'm the host of this whole rig. I invented it, in fact, and I also built this snowman. And I'm sponsored by Beckett. Two birds with one stone right there. I'm very efficient. I also read the Bible and have a megometer from 1940 or something like that. I don't know what that thing is, like the Sperry megometer. It's nice. Rummage sale. That's right. That's the kind of person I am. I spent the whole afternoon going through people's dumpsters. That's not even a lie. I was really in a dumpster today. And, it's the absolute 100% truth. I don't want to elaborate anymore. It'll take all the sting out of that. Me telling you why I was in a dumpster. We don't need to be doing that. It's fine. It's okay. I'm trying to be really efficient today so I don't have to suffer from divorce. And that's why we're going to try to get this show streamlined. So here goes your sponsors for this program. Just like this. Bam. Beckett. Beckett makes condensate pumps. They make condensate pan treatment tablets. They make that float switch there on the top left. That is a beast. It's the, what's it? 1502S. That's the kind of float switch you carry when you mean business about monitoring water height. Beckett. Condensate pumps, float switches, and they sponsor this show, and therefore I like them. EWC, forced air zoning products. This ought to make a good juxtaposition to the subject tonight. EWC, they love their bypasses. Stay tuned for more. EWCcontrols.com. They have a new mobile app, has a bypass size calculator, a product selector, every tech bulletin they've ever made. It's fantastic. Just go to your iPhone, your Android phone, or your rotary phone and type in EWC, and it should pop up there, the EWC Controls app. TrueTech Tools, if you're going to buy HVAC stuff, might as well buy the TrueTech Tools. You might as well use my code. Remember, all the other codes suck, and mine is the best. Shop Talk code saves 8% whenever you're buying your stuff. Just like those other guys who have codes say they don't really need the money. I need it badly, so use my code. Shop Talk, TrueTechTools.com. NAVAC, empowering you to work smarter. See that little thing that looks like an Uzi right there? That is the break-free power tube expander, the NTE11L. It's a battery-powered expander. Makes the expansions in about 10 seconds, and you can make 200 of them on one charge. I think it's a 2 amp hour, like 7-volt battery. Really light, really easy to use. Pretty cool stuff. NAVAC's making a lot of that now. You can find out more at navacglobal.com, or you can go to TrueTech Tools and just buy one. And just use my code, just like I said. If you don't use my code now, I really kind of wonder about your integrity. The Cray Cray straw. It's not for huffing R22, and it's not a real sponsor. Yellow Jacket. Remember these part numbers. No one's ever going to remember these part numbers, so I'm just going to talk about it. Tubing bender, the 63325, brand new tubing bender. It's multicolored. It's very nice. It's like the rainbow there. It's really nice. Updated, no longer plastic. Plastic was bad. Okay, it was bad. They updated it. It's metal now. It's great. The 67068 dual port manometer, wireless. You get great range on those to go with all your Y-jack probes. And the 60993, which is a mini split kit, which comes with pretty much everything you need to install a mini split, except for the paper that says this thing's going to die within 10 years. And Company Cam. Company Cam, organize your photos. It's a great app for business. Great product for business. You snap a photo, you sync it with the whole team. You can store it up in the cloud somewhere. It's up in some cloud. I don't know. It's a digital cloud. It's not like a regular cloud with rain in it. It's different. And you can share it with other people on the team. It really is a great way to keep everybody connected and give you a little bit of liability protection from those pesky customers that make you want to have it. That's pretty streamlined right there. I think that was pretty good. Had like 33 comments during that. Man. Fantastic. Okay, what we're going to do now here is we're going to project Ted into the show. And shapow. That was pretty efficient right there. Welcome to the show, Ted Cook, anti-DIY HVAC.
What's up, guys? Hey, Zach.
How's it going? So low in tone now, so relaxed.
Oh, do I need to get all jacked up or something?
Well, I think you gotta be closer, because when you're laid back in the chair, it's like you're far away. Just
Somebody
imagine.
say something bad about Train or anything, I could get jacked up then.
You know what? Actually, last week Joe was on this show with a couple other of the choir boys, and
Uh,
I asked him because you said he was a train dealer, which was news to me at the time. I said, "Joe, are you a train dealer?" And he's like, It was the most like lukewarm answer in the world. Evidently, he hasn't sold any train units. And
that's
he,
incorrect.
did he sell train units?
He did.
Did he since last week, or did I just not hear him correctly? It was probably
Um,
before, wasn't it?
Sometimes I fantasize out loud, maybe. I don't know. Joe, have you sold any train units?
He probably did sell. Joe's pretty. He's a pretty swift salesman. He watches a lot of sales videos. That's mainly what he does, I think. A lot of that, like I forget. I don't know. I don't watch any of them, so I can't quote any of them. But whatever. I don't watch sales. Do you watch sales videos, Ted?
What are those?
I don't know, the guys that come on there, they have like a suit on, and like there's like a
Cells
whiteboard behind them, and they
like
make a lot of stuff.
white blood cells, red blood cells. What kind of
No,
cells?
and then they got their multicolored markers, and they're like drawing pie charts and said 1/3 of the customers want something cheap, and 1/3 want something expensive, and in the middle is the 1/3 that's not the other 2/3.
Oh, you mean sales?
Sales, yeah,
Yeah, not
sales,
sales. Yeah, sales. Southern
not
SAYLES. Sales.
SAYLES. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
That's how it's spelled.
Yeah,
I
no,
didn't
I
finish
don't watch any. I don't watch any. Train keeps bugging us to come to these, things. They call them boot camp and this, that, and the other. But I don't go to them. They just want to get you to drink some Kool-Aid.
Yeah, it's about right. In fact, that's what Adam says. Weldon long crap. That's what he calls it.
Monstrous air handler sizes. Okay.
Oh, what's that? Joe's complaining about train. You see, he's barely
Yeah.
a dealer. He's
Three and
already
a
got
half
all
and
problems.
fours, 3.5 and up are big unless you buy the high dollar plastic, everybody calls them. I like to say composite.
It sounds better.
Well, actually, what nobody knows or wants to admit, or a few people know, is the train Hyperion air handler that they all call plastic is actually metal.
Just that, is it the thin outside layer that's metal?
It's coated. No, the metal is inside. The outside is plastic or is composite. And when they first came out, the actual doors were completely plastic and composite, whatever, and they warped up and
Oh yeah.
pulled off of the door switch, and they did pretty bad. But the Hyperion now is definitely a superior air handler. It's just expensive and cantankerous.
Man, you know what? There was one of them that was pretty small though, and I want to say that is it GAM 5 that was smaller?
Gam, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's gone.
It was smaller than the other ones quite a bit.
It's gone.
Oh yeah,
Gone
that
away.
figures.
Yep.
Yeah, that figures.
Yep.
Let's get rid of that.
I think it had a PSC, didn't it? But or some
it
of
might
them.
have.
Some of them did. The thing that made me sad to see that go away is it was the smallest, cheapest air handler with an EEV instead of a TXV,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
would mean no fail.
Yeah, and then they had the TAM 4, as I recall. Didn't it have a PSC with an EV too? Or am I remembering that incorrectly?
The TAM 4, which was long gone away. Yeah.
Oh,
GAF, he's right. James is right. The GAF. That's the one that's gone. The GAM may still be made, but the GAF is gone.
Maybe GAF was a small one, and because there was
Yep.
a few of them, because we put in quite a few forefront air handlers, American Standard or whatever.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I never had any problems with them. Never had to service them very often. They seemed like they were pretty good.
Yeah. They should have kept the GAF, but there again, times change, and I find it strange that there's so much pressure on the manufacturer to produce efficiency, but you can go install it in the middle of a bowl of spaghetti and nobody cares. So it has to make, X amount of sear or whatever, but we don't care how you put it in. There's no ductwork restrictions. Of course, ductwork's not important, right? The airflow doesn't really mean anything to efficiency, does it?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's what they think.
Yeah.
So it just proves it's all just a racket money game. It's all just another branch of government. And plus, they want them to use less and less power so that they can keep adding more revenue without upgrading any power grids. Keep adding houses, keep building more houses, and
That's going to run out eventually, huh?
I don't know what, run out of room, out of real estate.
They can't reduce so much that it's going to completely stop that curve from happening one day.
Yeah. Well, don't forget about the battery powered fossil fuel car that you're not supposed to charge. I wonder if they're going to put those load controls on the charge port for those, where they can, you can't drive today, but you can drive tomorrow, or what they're going to do. But I don't know if there ever is any such thing as an electric car. I'll buy one if there's ever such a thing. Right now, they're just fossil fuel powered battery cars.
All right. So what's got to happen is we have to get an electric car, basically, and we have to charge it with electricity that's only made from a hydroelectric dam.
Or a lot of different ways, yeah, but just not coal and natural gas, because those are the two things that are supposedly so bad. Well, stop burning them to make the power. Then you can say, an electric car's got less of a carbon footprint, although it takes well over double the carbon footprint to manufacture the electric car to begin with.
Right on.
Right now, I don't know, man. We don't need to play the politic game, but the beyond stupid thing is to not drill for oil here because of environmental reasons, but yet to burn 2,000 gallons an hour to ship it over here and then burn it when it gets here. Now, that's beyond stupid.
That is beyond stupid. And what I heard was the lithium batteries in these cars, they take like 100 barrels of oil when you account all the machines that mine the components to produce that lithium battery.
Yeah,
it's hilarious. It's
take
all about
a look
feeling.
at that. Take a look at the earth at that, and look at an oil well. I don't know, man. I don't think we're there yet. Solar is serious, and I think we should produce that. I don't like it. It's ugly. I don't want it, but it produces results. And there was a meme the other day. I saw somebody making fun of who's the guy, with the big electric car, the expensive one? What's his name?
Are you talking about?
What's the
Elon
car?
Musk? Are you?
Yeah. But what's the car he makes? Tesla.
Yeah.
Okay, they had a Tesla and a big pole in the middle of the hood and a windmill on it. And well, look, that was just supposed to be a joke or a meme, but think about that for a minute. That's the smartest thing I've seen yet.
You could recharge a lot of stuff with that thing in motion.
While you're driving,
the
windmill is spinning and charging your. I mean, it was put there to be a joke, but I think that's the smartest thing I've seen along the lines of regenerating. Might be a little dangerous to birds that fly by or whatever. But,
I think those things in general are pretty bad for birds, is what I hear.
You could put little blades in the grill where you don't need to. You don't need to travel air for a radiator. You could replace the radiator with a tiny, a bunch of tiny little impellers that spin and generate electricity. I don't know. I just thought that was really smart, but it was supposed to be a joke. And I'm thinking, hey, that would work.
No, I actually I like ideas like that. Like you talk about solar, I'd like to power some of my stuff in the shop off of solar. I think that would be kind of cool. But I mean, a lot of it, it's like you invest in the right gear. It's a huge upfront cost. And when I look at how long it takes to recoup the cost, it's like I want to see it in action. But part of me is like, this isn't really feasible because I have to repair it or replace it once I actually get to pay it off. Theoretically.
Well, that's what I mean. In the house, it averages 18 to 21 years. But now in your shop, I bet you could break even in probably, 11 to 13 years.
Yeah, I would like to see it in action. I'm just kind of curious about it. I studied it a little bit in my shop. Still, table saw is 15 amps. So, that's a decent amount of power. It's got to hold at least enough power to power some of that stuff. But I don't know. It'd be kind of fun to do. And thank you, Brent. I appreciate that, man, with the super chat. Brent, I want to apologize to Brent. He invited me on his podcast, and I was a little under weather last week, and I said I'll get back to him, and I never got back to him. And I texted him today, but I don't think he got it yet. And this is my way of sending you a text in real time. So, Brent, I'll come back now. I feel better now. Much better. Last week was rougher.
How
It
many
turns out one of the
guys
kids
are
had RSV, I guess.
There's 57. A lot of people are busy watching college football, I guess.
Yeah, there is a lot of college football stuff on, man. Let
Yep.
me
I
tell you what.
watched my team barely win today. So
Is that
basically,
Clemson?
yeah. So basically, we stink.
You barely won?
We barely won against Wake Forest in overtime. That's pretty pathetic.
Hey, Wake Forest, they're not a football powerhouse.
Um,
They
we
weren't.
barely beat them. They held us, by the throat up into overtime.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
So we're no longer a powerhouse, is what that spells for you.
That's what it looks like. Because I don't think Wake Forest is. It just means,
No, they're not. We have a terrible quarterback, though.
well, he'd graduate someday. Or get drafted or something like that.
Yeah, drafted to be a water boy, maybe. Talent manager. He ain't going to be drafted for.
However he gets out of there, man.
Exactly. Exactly. Move
So
on.
I'm gonna move us into HVAC now. So
Okay.
originally, before you came on last time, you had told me something about zoning, and then you cautioned me because I guess on account that the story is going to have a contrary view of bypass dampers to the sponsor for the show, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's one of them things where the opinions on the show don't necessarily reflect whatever. So what is the deal with zoning that's so different for you than for other people?
Well, because I prefer the application of zoning on a factual, mechanical, statistic basis of success, quiet, comfortable, efficient, dependable. And to be honest with you, I kind of like to do things that the manufacturer of the equipment designed it for, the application. So when you say the word bypass, I've already decided that, sorry, dude, you ain't got a clue. But a bypass does one thing, and I'd love for somebody to tell me something else it does, but it does one thing. It relieves one positive thing. Now, it does a lot of things, but it does one positive thing, and it relieves the blower. That is it. You don't get any other benefit.
Mm-hmm.
You may, lose some noise and some static pressure by tricking it and let it going in circles. So without variable capacity, you cannot effectively, efficiently, dependably impose a variable demand without the variable capacity. So hence here comes the bypass. So the bypass relieves the blower. Well, what about the BTUs? Okay, what do we do about the freezing coils and the overheating furnace? Well, let's just cycle them to death and introduce the DATs, the discharge air temperature sensor.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stick that into the supply plenum and keep the coil from freezing and just compressor off, compressor on, compressor off. Literally every 5 minutes, that it's just unbelievable that any builder or any municipality, any building code book, any Kool-Aid drinking homeowner, anybody to actually think that this works. Now, an HVAC technician that is anywhere near educated or has any understanding of the mechanical operation of the machine that thinks bypass zoning works, they're just on another planet. Now, there is a range. There's worse and better. You can undersize the machine and oversize the duct. And that way, when your smallest zone is calling, or let's even say you got a 50-50 zone situation. Let's say you got 50-50 upstairs and downstairs commonly, and you got two equal footage or two equal ducting, airflow situations. And in that case, if the machine is certainly not oversized, maybe a hair undersized, and the duct is oversized to keep the problem to a minimum, then you may get by with it. So that might be some of the least of the improper application of zoning when you're looking at the operation of the particular machine and its factory design and specifications. Whereas a much worse one will be, 3 zones or ever how many. And the smallest zone is like 25, 30%. Let's just say we're working with a 3-ton machine, and the smallest zone, will travel 350, 400 CFM through that one zone. And it's up top in a bonus room or up high, and the floors below or whatever have already satisfied, and the cooling cuts off, for those, but it keeps going for 30% of the duct work. So here we are, we need a bypass to keep the noise down and keep the static pressure from blowing water off the coil if it's horizontal application. Then we need the DAT sensor to do its few things it does. And it will keep the coil from freezing. It will torture the compressor to death. And it will, hey, dude, I'm into fact. I'm into mechanical facts. And it will run the power bills, the efficiency through the roof. It'll just, so that's kind of the quick explanation of where I stand on zoning and why, for many years I would never do it. I just wouldn't do it. You would either let me throw it away and put in 2 small systems, or I just walked away and you bought it from somebody else. Then Trane comes out with I sold the first one in this state, 2 compressor units.
Right. Yeah.
And when the 2 compressor 2-stage came out, and it was 50-50, so a 3-ton machine had a 1.5 ton and a 3-ton compressor, and they circuited back and forth. And then we had communicating zone dampers with, modulating communicating zone dampers, and certainly no need for a bypass, no need. Well, we do have a discharge air temperature sensor, but it's not for cycling the compressor, although in some cases frost protection comes into play on these air handlers we were talking about earlier. They could cycle a compressor for frost protection, but it's not really
right.
part
I remember
of. Yeah, it's not really part of zoning. It's part of operating under certain conditions or whatever. But I'd love for somebody to explain another way to successfully create multiple zones without variable demand. I mean, you can say you have a 2-stage machine. Well, now all you've got is 70% and 100%,
right,
with an unloading compressor that's not efficient anyway. But so how are you going to have a smaller zone, your smallest zone that needs to be able to vote and have its own control? I just don't get, and I go into it all the time, and I just, I hate it. I'd love to shoot the builders, just kill them for it. Just kill them, man. Just wipe them out of here. Don't let them build any more houses for destroying it for the people. And for the first year, while it's under, a bunch of warranty with the builder for 1 year, by the way, 1 year, and the builder's free, no matter what your house is, and it's brand new house. But and then they get tired of the installers, and they're usually not really service oriented companies. They're just slap them in and go companies,
Oh yeah.
And then they start calling the real guys, and we come out and say, sorry, but this is a bunch of junk. It don't work. And I don't care if it's brand new, and I don't care if you think it works. It doesn't. And then my definition of work is different than yours, and here we go into this. And I've got a few videos. I mean, some people will actually back up and punt, and it would be the ones that are in the worst end of the range, the ones that are in the better end. And I have successfully, to some extent, kept some going. But like I say, that discharge air temperature sensor just cycles the compressor. And we all know starting it up, it uses a lot more power than just letting it run steady. So up and down, up and down, up and down, and it kills the longevity of it, And so so I use that word successful, very loosely, but that's kind of where I stand on zoning, and just a lot of people that really disagree with that. I don't see anybody in the chat right now there's 80 people here, and they're either completely ignoring all of that, or they don't disagree, or
They look like they agree with you. I think one of the things we take into account is the chat on the show is mainly service technicians, so a lot of them probably understand it from your angle more so than someone who's on the install end of one of those jobs. And I know what you're talking about. There's these houses that the 2-floor houses with the zone system in the attic and the long duct run downstairs into like a piece of duct board that goes in between trusses, and it's just horrible, and it's always 2-wire dampers. It's like the worst of everything. The worst zone board, even in the category you're talking about, like that bad category, it's like the worst board and control in that category because it doesn't even have some of the safeties that you mentioned. Like I know as far as leaving air sensor, what I always saw was on the high end they would trip off in the upper 120s for heat pumps. On the low end it would be in the lower 40s. So that's like 43-degree air going through the system. And I don't know if it was me and you or somebody else. It might have been me and you talking about ECM motors going bad. I think it was me and you. And then having the 43-degree air going through the cabin of the air handler all the time is bound to cause some condensation problems with the ECM motors.
Yeah.
And I've seen it. I don't disagree with you at all. I don't have a bypass on my house. I don't have the variable speed, like the system that you're talking about, the communicating system, which I have installed something like that. I can't remember, the UltraTalk system from EWC, where it'll modulate things and you can weight zones by percentage and stuff like that. And that's probably the high end of what they have, but I have something more basic, but I still don't need a bypass. I have 2-speed blower, and I've made it work to where I don't have any issues with sound or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It works good for me. I mean, I couldn't imagine putting a bypass on something unless it was one of those single stage systems and they were doing this builder style install, which, not saying you should do that, but saying that's about the only choice you have, unless you're just going to try to super oversize the ductwork and maybe try to get away with it, which you can, and I heard about that in American Standard class a long time ago, sort of what you were talking about. So where did that originate, your line of thinking on that? Just experience, or was it something that was technically taught to you?
Well, I'm just a mechanic, I'm not a business czar. I'm not, I've just been doing it a really long time. So I got a decent company built up, but honestly, at the bottom line, I'm just a mechanic. So, as a spending the years learning and understanding, airflow is very important. I don't care who you are. If you don't believe that, you ain't real bright. Airflow is very, very important. The correct volume, without excessive static pressure, etc. The travel, the placement, all of those things are important. But when you start to restrict airflow without lowering capacity, you start to violate my mechanical understanding of, well, wait a minute. If we need, and this is old school stuff, if we need 400 CFM per ton, and we got 3 tons and it's running, but we're going to close this damper off and we're only going to have half or less than half of the airflow that we desire, we're not getting anywhere. This is obviously operating outside of the comfort zone of the design of the machine. Now, didn't you say you had a 2-stage?
The blower's 2-stage.
Okay. But I thought you had a incomplete Bosch outside.
It's the Bosch variable speed-ish system.
Yeah.
Ish. So
but
you
it
have a
does
2-stage
not
blower.
communicate with a variable speed air handler.
Yeah, this is how it communicates. On, off. That's how it communicates.
That's really about literally the truth.
That's all it is. I mean, it just the blower speed, the thermostat tells the blower to run in first or second stage, and then the electronics outside decide based on the CFM ramification on the temperature of the pipes and transducer and stuff like that, what it's going to do, and it just changes like that. So it's kind of like I don't know, like a rigged up communicating system, maybe. I don't know. It's like something that you made on your own.
Yeah, sounds more like fuel injection on a car, and they finally perfected all that, just operated all based off sensors. But I mean, I just think one day Bosch is going to complete that product, and it's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Right now, if it's not communicating with a variable speed blower in an air handler, I don't see how this is ever, I don't see where the success is. I don't see how it's going to work. I don't understand that. What
It's
tells,
incomplete.
well, it's definitely incomplete, but what tells the compressor where to run? Or are you telling me their inverter just ramps up and ramps down and doesn't really have a percentage based on, load value or demand or any of that? I mean, what tells this thing to run at 30, 40, 50, 60%? What tells the inverter what to do?
It takes temperature, and the boys last week told me it had a transducer inside of it, which I totally never looked at to see if it had a transducer, which makes sense. So it'll know what superheat is relatively. So it takes some measurements like that and adjusts based on those measurements. I guess if it's getting too cold, it's going to back off. If it's not cold enough, it's going to ramp up, that sort of thing. So it's more, I don't know, like you have digital gauges and analog gauges. It's like analog communication. It's something
So that's
where it's trying.
kind of a variable DAT sensor.
It's variable speed, but it just is not matched up with the variable CFM, which
Right.
would be very helpful in completing the system.
But according to superheat or according to line temperatures, probably is more what it's reading. If the suction line temperature is coming back really cold, it probably backs off on RPMs, I'm guessing. Right. And then when the house is, taking more of the demand and the suction line isn't coming back as cold. Now this is in the AC mode. I'm assuming they're heat pumps, aren't they?
They're heat pumps, yes.
Right. So I'm guessing that's one way you could, tell the variable speed or the inverter driven, whatever you want to call it. I guess I'm guessing that's one way you could tell it what to do without ever letting the blower. I just don't know how they would follow each other and work, comfort the best and dehumidification the best. I don't think you're ever going to get optimal results, but you could at least keep from freezing a coil.
Yeah, and it should be excellent at that. It should be able to ramp down to almost nothing to avoid that very fact.
Yeah.
The guys last week wanted me to shut the blower off and see how far it would ramp down or would it shut off. I have never done that with my particular system, but I am curious about that.
I don't think it can ramp down. Yeah, probably about 30%. I don't think it can ramp down. Now these mini split, it just depends on the compressor that Bosch is using, and I know very little about that Bosch machine. I really had no interest in examining half of a HVAC system. Well, I just didn't.
No, it's true. What you're saying is it's disjointed. The two halves are disjointed.
Yeah.
And what surprised me is the fact that the indoor unit cost as much, the air handler that they sell costs as much as a communicating air handler for different brands. So it doesn't make any sense. I mean, obviously the money is there to create a communicating air handler.
Right.
Joe
just said you would ramp the blower in concert with the compressor RPM. Well, that's exactly what our machine, and ours is superior. Trust me, at zoning.
I'm not arguing that.
Trust me, I believe that. Our machine is superior, but our outdoor unit actually tells the indoor unit what to do. That's the, the blower speed is controlled. Now we're reading several different factors every 4 seconds. There's input to the controls every 4 seconds, and, indoor temp, outdoor temp, humidity, indoor humidity, the demand, if you want to call it that, the load value. If you walk in and drop the temperature down 10 degrees, obviously it says, hey, we're behind, let's crank up, and the compressor cranks up and the blower follows. Now, depending on the indoor humidity condition, it may or may not follow real fast or real slow or so, whatever's going to be optimal for everything. And anticipation also comes into that. Like the design of our system, I say our, I'm just a trained guy. See, got it on my shirt. Wait a minute.
Do you?
There
Yeah. All right.
There it is.
Seems legit. Yeah, you got the shirt.
But, I say our, but, the design of the system is really not to turn off and satisfy. It's to get close and just hover very low and very long and quiet cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And that lends to some really good dehumidification and some comfort and quiet operation, and also lends very well to operating cost part of efficiency. Now, to me, part of the efficiency is the dependability and how long it lasts. I don't care if your car gets 100 miles to the gallon. If it only runs for a week at a time, it's not very efficient. So, the cost up front to buy it has to be part of the efficiency, in my opinion, not just the runtime, not just the runtime, but that's the overall design. Hence why it's so terrible to have this discharge air temperature sensor just on and off your compressor to death. But I think half of your system really is ready to be zoned.
I think you're right. I mean, what I've done is I've made do with what is there, and it's sufficient. But that sufficiency isn't optimal. Obviously, it can go up a little bit. And variable speed, you said something like, in the chat was saying something about variable speed blowers matching with the compressor RPM. And to me, that's good. But another thing would be that the intelligence of the unit can say, all right, we can match up, or we can vary that blower speed slightly lower or higher compared to the compressor RPM if we need to tweak dehumidification, stuff like that, which I think is very smart. But
and
the
load
Bosch
value,
doesn't do that. Absolutely.
Load value and demand. And, it's like, hey, I'd love to dehumidify some a little more efficiently right now, but actually we're way behind in temperature. So let's put a bunch of volume through this place and let's catch up some temperature, and we'll deal with the humidity some while we're doing that, but we'll really seriously dehumidify when we ramp down and start to hover. The machines are very smart, and Bosch has built half of it. I do not understand that. For the life of me, I don't get it. I figured it'll be another year. Well, maybe another year. Well, maybe another year.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why they're not attacking the premium market. Isn't Bosch a German name? Isn't that German technology? Okay.
It's a German name.
Well, so we don't really know. Right. Corporate things just seem to be bought and sold and prostituted out, etc. So we don't really know that that's German technology at its finest.
But I don't think it's German technology at all.
Well, if it was, or if something was doing better, we're just not even rivaled. We're really not. Now, Carrier has, green speeds or whatever, or what is it called? Infinities.
Mm-hmm.
What's the one that really is?
I thought green speed was the highest one.
Yeah, and it
Variable
has
speed.
But I've never seen them advertise 700 stages like we have.
I've never seen how many stages they do have.
Or 750 stages for heat pumps, 700 stages for straight AC and coil.
Only 700? What a bunch of garbage.
30% to 100%. Now that's technically there's 700 stages. I'm not so sure that, and they certainly are not all displayed. Like when we're looking on in fact, they're taking the compressor speed off of the new thermostats coming up. I hate that because we really liked it. Customers love it. They'd stand there, wow, look, I'm running at 69%. But it never gave the true formula. It would have to say RPMs. It would have to, you'd have to equate that to get the stages. But, it would never say 69.01 or 69.14, any of that. So you wouldn't see the whole 700 stages. You just see 69, 74%, 80. There's some popular numbers that you seem to see them at all the time. 39 is a really popular number on mine at home, because I'll have one stage. I've got really close to a 50-50 stage on a 4-ton, and my bedroom wing is kept a couple degrees colder than the living areas. And it just really seems to like that 39%, But I keep thinking one day they're going to get smart and they're going to, oh no, Joe let the cat out of the bag. Joe brings a lot of bad news to the.
I don't think that's going to be news to most of these guys.
Yeah, that's bad.
Because
That's
it's Chinese technology, the Bosch. Yeah, it's that Medea stuff.
I thought that was a German name, Bosch.
Oh, it's German in name. It's a old school name. I can't remember the guy's name. The Bosch's first name back when he invented the first, their power tools or whatever it was, like electric shaver was like their first thing. It's like a renowned name, but it is straight up. I call it the variable speed Ameristar because it looks exactly like one.
Yeah. You wouldn't believe how brokenhearted I was a year or two down the road when I found out that my Mexican-made Fender Stratocaster actually was not a Fender Stratocaster. It wasn't that bad. I mean, really pretty good.
I had a Mexican Stratocaster. I know
Hey,
what you're saying.
it's not a bad guitar, man.
No. I
Really
mean, whenever
not.
they would say, hey, he's playing a Strat, I didn't correct anything. Yeah, sure. I'm not going to say whether it's USA or not.
But I didn't realize it for a long time. I'm not a Fender guy. And so I had a couple, but I got one and I didn't really realize it. Now, I do know that if you put the USA made pickups in it and just change some electronics and the pots and stuff, you very quickly have one that you can't blindfold me and fool me with. I would not be able to tell you, but right now, if you plugged one in and plugged the other in, I could be blindfolded and tell you which I was hearing.
That's interesting. I don't even know how this conversation went into guitars. How did it even
didn't
happen?
mean to.
I mean, how did it even occur?
Well,
that's
because
incredible.
I'm brokenhearted that no, really, I don't give a crap. But I'm brokenhearted that the Bosch machine is a German name, and you go out and buy, oh, Bosch. Hey, let's look at that. That's a good one. And it's actually not a German manufactured or engineered even machine. So
I'm going to bring a picture of it up. I mean, you know what they look like, right?
I've seen a couple. Now, wait a minute. Is Joe saying 700 is excessive as stages to actually be able to create, or is he saying that he doesn't believe they exist?
I think he's being cute because he said 699 was enough.
Oh, well, I didn't see that part.
Let's see if we can look at this. Can we do this Bosch thing here?
Bosch is made in Germany and Australia.
There's your Bosch right there.
So one of them is blow it up so I can tell you whether that's an Ameristar or not.
I'm trying to find a bigger picture of it than that. Let me see if I can't find a.
Don't tell me Medea manufactures that.
They absolutely do. I can go ahead and tell you that.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, then we know all we need to know about that.
Yeah, it's definitely Medea. The components inside the original one. No, the original one they had like something else in it. There might have been a Mitsubishi component to it, but I think that's been removed now. I don't think that's part of it. I'm trying to see here. Good grief! I don't care about. All right. We don't get a big picture, I guess. Never mind. Well, I'll find a big picture. Hold on one second. We'll do this in a minute. Because it's a Ameristar. It's the exact same look. It's the Medea system because they make it in the same form. It looks exactly the same except under the Medea name because Alex, who watches this show, who lives in Puerto Rico, services them all the time. So, I mean, they're the exact same thing.
Adam or whoever is on the HVAC overtime name says seal up your house and a single stage furnace and air is perfectly fine. Now, there is some certain truth to that. However, seal up your house with encapsulation and spray foam insulation, and install a 20-SEER train with zoning, and your house is even perfectly finer.
Wow. I mean, the top 1% will really enjoy being able to afford that. There you go.
Yeah, that's an Ameristar all day long.
For sure. That is even the air handler. That's a Maristar. I mean, they're the same. I mean, some of the components inside are different. Obviously, there's a big inverter board. In fact, you can big inverter board and stuff like that in the Bosch, and the air handler has a different board. But I mean, the cabinet is the same.
Well, so Joe and I go back and forth a lot about Train or Ream or whoever else, but I bet you he'll never sell that.
I bet he won't either.
No,
He hates those, I believe. Doesn't he hate
no.
those? I think he was
I
like
mean,
the
even
opposition in the debate.
yeah. Well, even if they complete them and they make the air handler or whatever follow, they complete that system. I bet you he still won't sell them. I didn't realize they were. 700 stages. I didn't realize they were
700 stages, but can't figure out how to stop the U-bends from leaking on their aluminum coils. Terrible problem here lately.
Yeah, he's talking about 2019. 2019 was a terrible, terrible year for us for coil leaks. Yeah,
Hey, I noticed that
2019 was awesome, awful. I started to say awesome. 2019 was bad. Yeah, we had some coil leaks.
I noticed that back when they first started coming out, the Hyperion ones under the Forefront name, because we were doing it on the American Standard side, there was a few leakers back then, but that seemed to go away on the aluminum coils.
Yeah, but they're still manufactured. The processes are basically the same, even though those are our better coils. But there's just no way to perfectly. I'll say this: it's come a long way, and that's what I'm so afraid of. That's going to happen with microchannel. Carrier is now 100% microchannel cased coils. So if you buy a case coil to put on your gas furnace, it's called a V coil.
I saw those, yeah.
And it is microchannel junk. But I will say this: I don't want to be Mikey Wipes. I don't want to be, that guy that's like stuck in the past or whatever. If they keep on and keep on and keep on, they may perfect that process to build that particular. I'll call it a style. I won't even call microchannel technology. Technology is too good of a word for microchannel. I just think it's stupid. And I think our aluminum has gotten so thin and our coils exchange heat so well that we need to start chasing efficiency in other directions and not worry about this microchannel coil that, holds much less refrigerant, has more surface area to, the refrigerant is more so in contact. So the theory is when you have a round pipe, the refrigerant that's touching the edges of it is doing more exchange than the refrigerant in the middle of it. Like when you've got liquid running through it and you're taking heat off of it, you're taking heat off of that liquid that's touching the shell of the tube a lot more efficiently than you're taking it out of the liquid in the center. So they flatten it out and create more surface area that's actually in contact with the liquid refrigerant. Either that or they just trying to be like radiators in cars. I don't know, but I just think under these high pressure situations and high heat situations of our HVAC world that we need to stay away from microchannel. But, I say that at the risk of the fact that 10 years from now is going to be a very successful technology that finally gets developed. But, it took us a while with aluminum coils. I mean, Justin says they still have problems with them.
Yeah. But some of it's cyclical. People have issues periodically. Just it just happens. People change something, and then it gets filled. The field trials start, the real life field trials, and then there's a problem with it. Then they have to change it again. I mean, it's just people always changing something.
Yeah, Train has only put a few things out too fast. The variable speed machines that we actually had in 1992, 3, and 4, with the same technology, the inverter driven, the drive was the same, everything. They just pulled them because nobody would buy them, and the techs were all too dumb to work on them. It was just ahead of its time. It was the Jimi Hendrix of the industry. So, when they brought it back, they didn't just throw it out there and let the market test it. We had them for well over a year in the field as beta testers and giving, feedback on them, taking them out, sending them back, putting another one right in its same spot, stuff like that. And then in 2014 or 13, they actually became available for us to buy and sell. Now, they were not guilty of throwing that out there too quick, but when they developed that Hyperion air handler, you just let me tell you this right now, man, they slung that thing out into the public way too fast and earned theirself and that particular style of air handler a terrible reputation. I guarantee you half these guys in here, the older ones at least, would say, yeah, those plastic air handlers are, pieces of crap. The doors all warp and all this happened. And that is all true. So they worked all the bugs out in the field at our expense. That's what they did with the Hyperion air handler. They did not do that. I mean, I'm hoping that they don't do that ever again anymore. But they did it to us with the 1050s. They did it to us with the 1040s. We had these trouble out of all these controls. And they finally learned where to place the chip, how to travel the heat out of the control, how to keep the backlight down, but the definition up where you could see it. They were overheating essentially. So they didn't test the product long enough before putting it in the public. And that happens. And that's a really expensive. So what it does is it makes that product even more expensive to produce because you can't switch your line over totally to dedicate it to something that you're not selling for profit every day yet. And you've got to produce it for test marketing. It's really expensive. But
so, looks like it's not too big of a problem. Justin chimed back in, so still having some issues, but can't say it's a major problem. 3 installs a day, and we probably fixed 4 or 5 this year. So a small percentage, but still noteworthy.
Yeah, he may be working for a bigger company than mine. We're doing about 325 to 350 systems a year. So there's definitely the days where we do 3 a day, and there's the days where we do 1 a day or none a day. But that's about how many a year we're putting in. And it's nowhere near what it was in 2019 was terrible, man. I would bet, I don't know, I didn't do any math on it because I was so frustrated, but I would bet 20% of our coils were giving us problems. I mean, it was terrible.
That's a really high number.
It is. Now, it was much worse. The biggest problem I've always said 2%, Joe, and don't twist that around. Although I would have to admit that in 2019, the coil leaks were a real problem, and that skewed my.
I remember what he's talking about now to the percentage you were quoting before.
Yeah, and I admitted that it's not 2% warranty calls, because if I could say that our guys were perfect and there was never any, I'm talking about machine failure, boards, blowers, leaks, etc., compressors. Now if I could say that our warranty calls were down to 2%, I think I'd be a lot richer. The company would make more money.
That sounds like a really low number. I mean, that's a good question. How do you have any idea what the callback, like within a year, a callback on a system would be? What percentage? What would you think it was?
It's well over 10.
So it's over 10%.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Our guys are not. I'm a transparent guy. I'll make videos of it. I'll make a video.
I've seen you do it. I've seen you come back, hack, sabotage, but you guys were the hack saboteurs.
I usually put that on other people's, not on mine. If it says sabotage, hack that, I'll put that on some other brand and some other. But on ours, I will say correcting installer mistakes. I'll say whatever. And then you come in Monday morning and they're all crying because they watched the video. Man, why you got to do that on you? Don't do it. I mean,
do better.
Yeah,
Do
I
better.
didn't say who did it. I didn't say, well, everybody knows I'm one of them. It's, well, whatever, man. If you think everybody knows you, they don't all know me. So I
Yeah,
don't know how they know you. But
I've watched those videos too. You are transparent. I mean, you said it's your
I'll do
job. You
that.
come back and check them
Yeah.
out. So, where's this vent going? This vent, what the world? And there'd be something on there that they didn't. And that's just life. The installers, they mess stuff up. I mean, I'm with you on that.
You know what I noticed though in all my YouTube adventures, and they've only been going on 5, 6, 7 years or something. But in all those adventures, I've noticed that once I started doing that, the negative comments have subsided.
Interesting. Yeah.
Well, because they would always be, did you install it? You did, y'all do. I can't believe you. We have these guys that are perfect experts. We have those that come in here. We call them keyboard warriors or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They come in there and they know everything. And the biggest one, the biggest problem on that is the ones that don't own a business. So they'll see me go out on a service call. I'll do X, Y, and Z, okay, and get them back up and running. And then they say, oh, but I would have done this, but I would have done that, but I would have done that. So if you're going to stay an extra hour off the clock, make your boss mad, do stuff that the customer doesn't want, you go right ahead. But obviously you never ran a business, or you would know you're not the boss. The homeowner's the boss. The customer's the boss. So if you want to clean their coil for free, if you want to do something for free, you go right ahead, but you're losing money for your boss. You're losing time and money. You need to get to the next call.
It's real funny that you mentioned that. I was having this conversation. It's exactly the same as what you're talking about. My daughter and my son, the twins, are starting to drive. They're 15. They have their permits. And my daughter was driving home. And she was driving.
Wait a minute. Twins?
Yeah. Well, there's Andrew. He's the one who's at Furman. And then
Mallory?
there's the twins. Mallory and Landon are 15. And
How
then
come
there's
we've
Jackson.
only ever seen Mallory?
Mallory is more that gravitates toward the spotlight, so she would be the only one you would ever see. Landon lurks far away from the spotlight.
So she's a ham, and the other one is not.
No, he doesn't want to be any part of being in any spotlights or anything like that.
But Mallory's more of an attention ham or a cam ham, whatever.
Oh yeah,
she's like, hey everybody. Yeah, the selfie girl.
Yeah.
Okay. See. I mean, I've known you 10 years or so, and I never even knew Mallory had a twin.
Yeah. I mean, he was on one video. He came with me on a service call. One time he was there.
No, yeah, you're right. Okay, never mind. I did know. I just forgot.
Well, that was a long time ago. So
right.
I think that's definitely a permissible.
And they both have
memory.
Permits or
permits.
Licenses.
Yeah, they both have permits. So I had to be in the car with her. She's driving home, and she's so timid. She's asking me all these questions. Outside of the car, it's like, Mallory, you want to go pick that up? But inside the car, it's like, Father, do I need to go this speed here? It's a completely different tone. And I was like, this reminds me, and I told her a story. It reminds me of HVAC. Believe it or not, I was telling it in reverse, telling her about HVAC. I was like, whenever I worked for my father or for my brother when I was younger, it was way different. I would always have these ideas on what we should do better. We should do this. We should do that. We should do this. When I started my company and I was in charge, oh, how it changes how you look at the exact same situation. And all these guys that are sitting in the back seat shouting directions, you realize that they just needed to shut up and let you figure things out. And just because you're thinking about your livelihood, and you're in charge, so all the weight's on you now. So it changes your decision-making process. And I always thought that was funny.
I had one just the other day said, why didn't you clean the one next to it? I mean, dude, I'm not in my yard. This is not my house. They call me out and we're having a problem with a Goodman unit. I mean, I take the lid off, I back flush it out, whatever. And so I notated that. I said, wow, look at that. There's a dryer vent right behind these units between the two. But I mean, I can't just take the liberty to take over the guy's house and do whatever I say and slap it on the bill. And he's like, why didn't you cut, and I want to say, why don't you go to the HVAC company across the street and work for them for free? Just because your boss let you off at 4:00, well, go across the street and work. Hey, I'll go get a service call for you. I mean, I don't, so they don't really understand if they, yeah, that's a good one. Justin said Monday morning quarterback. That's exactly, keyboard warrior, monitor expert, whatever. I mean, they're just, they got no idea. But that's what started those videos of showing the installer. They used to be private. I used to chain them all together and wait till we had our Christmas party at the bowling alley and flash them up on tape.
No.
What do you got a screen in here for? And get them all in one place, all the installers in one place. And they'd be back there. Steve did that job. He did that one. I didn't do that. He did that. Look at that, And they're back there. And I think I noticed a little increase in quality, just to be honest with you. I think a little competition in the home team there, sort of. I mean, you can find that raising kids too. You can get them. Yeah. You can get them wanting to, when, she's doing better, I'm going to do a little better too. Just, making me look bad. But
and public helps too. Public definitely helps. When they're out in public with their teachers or something, it's like, man, why wasn't it you wouldn't fold those clothes the other day? What reason were you telling me again? Says, Dad, I was going to do it when I got home. Whatever. Okay. Oh, that's a relief. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You ever notice how you're yes sir in front of people a lot more than you are at home?
The mentality definitely changes. Although I will say my two sons, my older sons, they religiously say sir. It's always sir, hello sir, sir, sir.
Yeah.
I think it's just a combination of raised correctly and just that little bit of fear that you have for your father. Even if your father could be 2 foot shorter than you, he could be just anything else, but you still have that respect or that like the fear of God fear. It's like not a negative fear, but just something that they're just born with.
Wasn't a little bit at my house, buddy. That fear thing. No, it wasn't.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, wasn't a little bit of fear to it. Yeah, my dad would kick your butt, no questions asked.
And see, my dad would never even do anything like that. He was the most gentle person because his father before him was just horrible. He was just abusive and everything, and he was the opposite. And I still had the same feeling toward him. I would never want to cross my dad because the times when he did get upset, boy, it stood out like a sore thumb because it was so rare. So.
We have a kid in the chat that has a question for Ted and Zach, how hard is flaring copper tubing?
It don't seem too awful hard.
Well, I mean, we're working really hard to master that. So come back in about 10 years and ask that. Oh, no, wait a minute. That's fake Z, ain't it? Or one of his buddies.
I really don't know. It's getting a little bit more difficult to tell which Z is the real Z. So I kind of stopped playing.
And I wonder if he's in cahoots with HVAC Overtime, because he says that I can answer that question because I install mini splits almost daily. That's got to be Adam, because Adam knows I hate mini splits.
I think it is Adam based on the line of questioning that he had as far as the subject matter, because it seems like that's the interest that he follows whenever I watch them.
Oh, did he ask questions? I didn't see that.
It was just something about like home performance or something like that, and I know that's like the route that his interest.
Oh, he said
going.
Seal up the house because he does some blower door stuff now.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He
Right.
They're in communication with like the guy from the Energy Conservatory, and they're kind of doing stuff with him and everything.
Yeah, he's a big fan of. I've always wondered, do you blower door positive or negative? Because I don't know anything about it. I would say in the wintertime, if you use the blower door in a positive flow towards the house and you go outside with your FLIR, what do you call those heat
I
gun.
think it's FLIR. Yeah, the thermal
Yeah.
imagers.
You go outside and follow around the windows with it, and you see if you're losing any air pressure. Of course, I don't know what you're actually trying to achieve. Um, I do so little new construction that I'm really. I learned this just the other day that the spray foam houses that are encapsulated with spray foam, you don't have to do a duct blast test.
On the new home?
Correct.
I've never heard that before. Of course, I'm a little out of the loop now. But
Do not
yeah.
have to do it. Well, now I'm in South Carolina. Now I think we're supposed to be operating on the same code manual, but
I think so
here,
too.
here we don't have to do a duct blast. Well, you think about it now because the design, most of the engineers design you to leak, return, and supply into the attics that are sealed. So how would it make sense to test the sealing of your duct system that has purposeful leaks?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. We've done a couple houses like that where the outer shell of the house is sealed with spray foam, and was actually conditioned in the attic, not to comfort temperature, but just tempered. So that would make sense. It would be irrelevant unless it was just a horrible leak where it sacrificed the comfort in the house or something, like the duct is cut in half.
That would be a problem.
That would be problematic. I did have one where the end cap was totally missing. I don't know how long it had been like that, but it was like a 14-inch end cap. It was missing, but that crawl space felt fantastic.
Kev_playing, which is a kid playing video games, says, do you make more money with calls during winter time or more in the summertime? Well, in the summertime, we get about 1 million calls, and in the wintertime, we get a couple of hundred.
7.
So, yeah. So I'm going to say we make more money. Yeah, we make our real money, like our boat buying, Harley buying, toy buying money, kid college paying money. We make that from May 1st till about September, the end of September, or sometimes the end of October.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we make the real money. Now, he says he's not a kid. He's 32 years old, and he's in South Carolina. And if you're 32 years old and you play video games, I would like to spank you. But anyway, you should quit. You should quit and pursue something productive. And
that's good. I'm going to use that as like a sound bite for like some kind of funny segment.
Oh,
All it is, the answer to the question. And I did this a long time ago where I'd ask a question, then I'd put a sound bite from the show in there. And I want to spank you will definitely be the sound bite. Oh my gosh. Where's my pen? I could write down the time.
Yeah.
Good grief.
I think it's all recorded, and I have no choice in the matter. I'm pretty sure I signed something that gave you the rights to all that. So
I don't know, but I think I'm kind of legally in the way that I'm just going to give it a shot and just see what happens. And then I'll get a letter in the mail.
You've got the overtime guy in here. What if I tried to say, I'm Bill from HVAC? Oh, I don't have a ZZ Top beard.
I like that you were doing the voice, though. I mean,
I'm Bill. My name is Bill. I'm not really very funny, but everybody thinks I am.
I think Bill's funny.
Actually, I like
he's
Bill.
deadpan funny.
No, I like Bill because Bill is, Bill is a vegetable, man. I really like vegetables. Bill's funny.
He's like a British comedian. It's like there's like no motion. It's like AK was. He would say something and just like you wouldn't know if the joke was over, then you realize it was funny like a minute later.
Yeah, but AK can have you laughing, and he hasn't cracked he's just dead sitting there. And he was pretty good at a lot of things. He doesn't do them anymore, but definitely was not short on personality. He was.
Man, I miss AK.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun on YouTube. I don't think he had that much fun though. In other words, I just don't think it. I don't think it stayed important to him. He worked hard at it for a little bit and had a little fun, but basically, he has a life, and I don't. I guess
I don't think it's that. I think it was.
That's what it comes down to.
I'm not going to speak to whether or not you have a life, but I think that AK, you're right about him. He wasn't intoxicated by this whole being online and people watching you and stuff like that. He just wasn't into it. I almost think he just, it's almost like it made him somewhat anxious to be in that environment. I think he just didn't like it, but he was really good at it, which is a shame. And his comedy stuff was extremely funny.
Oh, Joe, don't worry. I would spank you harder than any of the other grown men that I fantasize about giving spankings to. You notice Joe picked it. Not much goes by Joe. You ever notice that?
I just love that you just give all these sound bites right here. That's good.
You don't really slip much by Joe. I used to think he was the kind of guy to let grass grow under his feet, but
Well, he's got the same thing. I mean, he's got like this. He can be kind of monotone sometimes, but then Joe, he's taking it all in. He's like one of those trail
yeah,
cameras. You just don't know what's happening. He's recorded everything. He knows.
he's pretty clever. That's
He
that's
is
for sure.
absolutely.
I like that mute button there.
Yeah.
People have been thanking me for lowering the volume when the vacuum is running on those service drain call, the clogged drain calls,
Yeah.
and what it is the vacuums get worn out and they start screaming. The first day you get them, they're not that bad.
That's
I
true.
really wish, we've developed a lot in the cordless tool range, especially since 30 years ago when I had my first little Makita with a battery that long. It was 6 volt and it was heavy, and that was the first thing we were drilling in zip screws with. But we've developed a lot. But I would really love to see a cordless vacuum developed that's really powerful.
Yeah,
Like the
your Chinese Milwaukee stuff. They just made a dual battery vacuum shop vac. Runs off two 18-volt batteries.
Wait a minute, Chinese.
Yeah, remember?
Oh man.
Man, they're all Chinese, so it can't be too bad off.
So you're saying that they've made? Yeah, let's see it
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find it.
because if they're available, let's see. Beaver needs a spanking too. No, Joe, I'm not spanking anybody that doesn't deserve it.
I'll
Oh,
tell
he's
you
talking
what.
about Justin Beaver. I don't know if he did. I haven't seen him in a while, so I can't tell you. But Joe needs one. I know pretty much a lot, all the time, every day.
So here you go. This is the vacuum in question. It's a Milwaukee 9-gallon dual battery wet dry vacuum. So it's
What?
bigger,
Do
and
you ride that? You ride it to the job?
you can. It probably clips to a pack out or some crap like that. I don't know, but it
Okay,
takes two
so
batteries, so it's
is that
powerful.
is that in order to vacuum for longer, or in other words, are they in series or parallel?
Oh no, they're at the
Is
same
it
time. They're in parallel.
36 volt?
Yeah,
Is it?
it's basically a 36-volt tool.
And you read that somewhere? You saw that somewhere?
I followed them, so I've heard that in the past.
So it is more powerful, not just longer running.
So
What size?
outperforms 4.25 horsepower vacs. So a decent sized shop vac, I guess. I'm
What
trying to see here.
what gallons is that?
It's 9 gallons.
Oh, that's way too big.
Yeah, for
So
your drain stuff, it is.
I wonder if we can put that lid motor somehow on my little bitty reservoir. But not for
It's kind of
outside
big.
use. As long as it's not ridiculously heavy, it'd be fine for outside use. And I don't carry it in the attic ever anymore anyway. I use that pump to
Hmm.
flush in the attic. And it's just not that often that the vacuum will take a really bad clog out anyway. Um, I haven't made videos yet, but I've done some testing with that poof. What's that thing called? The air snake.
Poof.
Air snake.
Oh
It
yeah,
just
yeah,
goes
yeah. The M12. Yeah.
just one time like that, and blowing it backwards, like the cardinal rule: never blow back into the coil. But if it's only just one like that, it'll loosen it and dislodge it, and then put the vacuum on it, and it comes out. I've had some success for that.
Why haven't you used the M12 vacuum? That's a small one. You have M12 stuff already.
I have the little handheld dust buster version of
Not,
that
not like the little bitty shop vac thingy. This little thing.
because that would be even weaker than the one that I have.
Yeah.
Wow, 1.6 gallon. But I mean, why would I want less power?
I don't know how much power it is. Let's see.
Well, it's not as much as the 18 volt one is.
It's 45 CFM, so you're right. It's not very powerful. Yeah, because I think the Ryobi 3-gallon one that I have is 45 CFM. So,
Joe doesn't
Ow.
miss anything. He says, "Wait, are you telling me that Milwaukee tools are not made in Wisconsin?"
yeah, dreams are dying today.
And I was heartbroken in the 80s when I took the wheel off one of my Harleys and under the bracket. Now, Harleys are made in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, or originally designed, but it said made in Japan on one of the fork legs on the front. That was terrible.
Japan's not too bad, though. I mean,
Terrible.
of all
No,
for that it is. I mean, when you got
no,
something like Harley and you see Japan,
right.
maybe that's bad. But
That's bad.
in the
But
tool world, that's not bad.
no, if we have to have something imported, Japan and Germany are the. But you know what? Some of my customers tell me, and I have a lot of Chinese customers. Some of my customers tell me that China makes really high quality products, and they do not ship them out. They do not import them to the U.S.
Yeah, I think we want crap.
We get El Cheapo. No, we want both.
Yeah, well, Milwaukee's nice. You're right. And so they send Milwaukee over here, and every other NavVac tools are made in China. They seem pretty good.
Something tells me they could make all of these things really a lot more powerful and sturdy if they wanted to. They don't want you to buy one drill and it lasts 30 years.
Not anymore. No.
Yeah, they don't want that.
They new ones every 2 or 3 years. A new generation comes out. It's like, buy this one. This one can turn a screw slightly better. Okay. No, thank you. And there'll be like more cost to it.
Joe says, Bauer shop vac. Isn't that a Harbor Freight shop vac?
No, Project Farm did a shop tech test. And believe it or not, Bauer shop vac is the super powerful suction. Yeah, I watched that video. The best battery powered vacuum in that video, as I recall, was Rigid. I think Rigid made the best one. If I'm thinking
I'll
of the
tell
same
you
video.
that Rigid has, when you look at these 18, 20 volt drills or whatever, Rigid has the one that will wring your skin out of here. You know how you hold your drill and try to tighten the chuck?
Mm-hmm.
Or even just try to hold the drill to be manly and stop it like that. The Rigid will rip you to shreds.
They got some big stuff.
It's very strong. I don't like their tool line and I don't want them. I'm a Milwaukee guy mainly because they have so much. They were the first ones with the camera. Out of all of our available, like DeWalt, Gayobi, all of that stuff.
Wow.
They were. That's not a soundbite.
That's hurtful.
But Milwaukee and Gayobi are like on two levels in the same corporate.
Just double down with it.
Building. I mean, you're not a Ryobi guy by loyalty. I mean, you're not hooked on them.
It's hot in here.
I have seen, I've seen a lot of different tools in the Zach world recently, even.
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot of different ones. Yeah.
So you can't tell me that that's like a personal shot. Like if you said train sucks, I'll just die. You said that. If you said that,
my insides would liquefy.
You could say it right now, and I would just.
I would never do that.
I don't know if I would.
I know how much is at stake emotionally if I do that. But no, I mean, I like a variety of tools. I like checking different ones out just to see how good they are. I mean, I'm always curious about it. And some of them are awful, some of them are good.
Test them the way I do those Nest tests.
Nest test. What do you mean?
Back a while back, before they threatened to sue me and kill me, I was testing Nest thermostats. They didn't actually threaten that. That was a joke. But, I would run over them with my van. I would smack them with a hammer. I dropped one down in a pond one time and said, well, I guess it doesn't float. And then I picked it up, and it lit up and works. So they are waterproof or water resistant. I mean, that made a fool of me. but got one coming up where it's going to be a hockey puck.
Oh, been
Spoiler,
actual.
spoiler alert. Oh yeah, it gets smacked. Yeah, of a nest. And I did one in a skeet shoot slinger thing. We slung that thing a bunch of times, and it just disappointed everybody that we didn't shoot it. But
Oh yeah, I would have wanted to shoot it.
yeah, I'm not saying that it didn't happen, but we don't do guns on YouTube.
Oh, that's right. They don't like that. Shoot
Doesn't
skeet's fun though. I mean, that's no
well,
animals involved.
I think they just put you in an entirely different category if you
Which they don't recommend to anybody.
yeah, like if you do guns or you play Metallica music in the background or whatever. There's things you can do that make your videos all of a sudden get no views. They'll let you stay on.
What music would make you get more views, do you think?
I don't think music is a good idea on YouTube, actually. Not in our genre, so to speak. If you make your own, it's like nobody cares.
Well, that's not in tune. That's not going to be a good example.
Why do you have a capo on there?
Because I can't make those bar chords. My finger gets tired. No. I think because, honestly, because Simon and Garfunkel's America is played in the key of C, but at the third fret, so whatever that is, the key of E flat or whatever. And so
man, I wish I could give you the number. I wish I could call it up and play it on here. Train has done this thing to where when you're on hold with inside sales to check, order or something, and they've got a lot of calls and they put you on hold, they play this music. And it is a terrible copyright escape version of Simple Man. Leonard Skinner.
Oh man, that'd be great.
It's awful.
Can we do like a uncopyrightable version that's unrecognizable?
I don't know that you're trying to really copyright. I mean,
no, is it something like that?
No, that was something else. That was something.
That was similar.
Yeah,
different.
But okay, that's Simple Man. But see, they can't do anything to us because it was wrong. So it's like every now and then there's one note that's wrong.
Yeah, one of them's not tuned.
It's not out of key. It's not out of it would have worked, but it's different than they wrote it. And there'll be, but it's awful. It's just terrible. And of course, it's too loud. So if I have to put on hold and sit the phone down, I want to turn it down so I don't have to listen to it. But then I'm scared they're going to come on and say, hello, hello, hello. Okay, never mind. And click me off. So I have to listen to it. They force me to listen to it. And
that'd be awesome.
But I wish you could hear I need to give you the number. I need to text you the number and let you just call it in. And, if no, I'm not a homeowner. Yes, I want to, whatever selection you make, as long as you get put on hold, you'll hear it. And it is, it's so bad that it's worth hearing. It's terrible. It's just,
I'm kind of curious. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll, you may feel some sympathy for me. So what are these guys saying in the chat before we just dump them all out here?
They're about to get dumped out because I'm way past my time, and divorce is imminent.
Both of our wives have been ignored and promises broke.
Yeah, but I got like this string going. Eventually, it'll be too much. Tonight may be the night. I get to find out in a few minutes, but I will. Yeah, Dallas just got here. You're late, Dallas. I'm sorry. The show's over.
Oh, Dizzy Dallas just came in.
He was on the show last week.
Wait a minute. He's always doesn't he sell Ream? So
he works for a place that services Ream.
Yeah. So they're used to being behind all the time anyway. So
my gosh.
That's okay. I want to know who Mikey Wipes is. I wonder if that's the real, hey, it's me.
I don't think so, because I think the actual Mikey Pipes, I thought I saw him he commented on like one of my videos, I think. He wasn't in here, I don't think, but one or the other.
So he uses his normal name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think it's
He says,
probably just
"It's
somebody else.
me. It's me.
It's Mikey White.
Mikey Pipes."
I watched a few of them.
You need to make some sound bites and let everybody identify. Of course, everybody that's got
I did that one
anything.
time.
It seemed like I remember some. Anybody that's unique, they have, like, let's do some work. There's no question who that is.
It was funny who they didn't know. They couldn't get Brian from HVAC school. There would be like guys, the guys that were like the, I don't want to say educational, but like educators style channels, like Brian.
Wants that.
Like I don't know who that is. But if they have like Steve Lab comes on, they're like, oh, that's Steve Lab. Before the soundbite gets halfway over, or that's NorCal, because just the way he talks. But
Well, that shows you who you want to model and be like, and who you don't want to be like. Popularity.
I like NorCal. I think NorCal's cool.
He's done some pretty funny stuff too, hasn't he?
Yeah. He writes those songs and makes like the hack and mow videos. It's like a comedy skit. Anyway, this show's got to stop. We got to stop this show.
Yeah.
It was supposed to stop at 10, but I was having fun, so I ignored my gut feeling that was telling me that my life was closing out.
Are you out in an outbuilding, or are you in just another room?
I'm far away.
Oh.
There's a force field around it. It locks from the inside.
You don't really know what the mood is, when you step through the door. You don't really know what's going to happen, huh?
It's like turning on the Weather Channel. After a while, it says, yes, the hurricane's actually bearing down right now. So I didn't know a hurricane was coming.
Yeah. She knows you by now. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, she does. She ain't going nowhere.
It's been a minute.
Yeah. So thank you, Ted. I appreciate it, man.
I'll close you with these words of wisdom, Zach.
I can't wait to hear this.
If you're ever losing an argument and you just kind of want to concede, an argument's a strong word, but let's just say you're not gaining.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, maybe you're not as old as I am, but whenever you see you're not going to win, you can always say, yeah, well, I married better than you did.
That's nice. Very smooth.
Always shoot that in there, like, I got you, but all you got was me. So,
boy, you settled.
I married better. Yeah, I mean,
it's too late too. Too late to go back now. We're past our prime.
Okay, well, maybe next time I'll come up with some better words of wisdom. But
no, that was pretty good, and truer words were never spoken. So, Ted, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I enjoyed being here, so I'll get out of the way and let you wind it down with these guys here.
This will be a quick wind down, and I'll see you next time we do this. Won't be too long.
Trip, man. Look at Joe. Anytime, Zach. I enjoyed it. I appreciate you having me back, man.
Thank you, Ted. Appreciate it, man.
All right.
That is Ted Cook, everybody. Thank you for hanging out tonight, Ted. I appreciate that. Thank you all you guys who tuned in to watch. Appreciate that too. I won't be back next Saturday because I'll be out of town, actually. The kids are having a Raiders meet, which is an ROTC event where they compete. And so we're going to be up in, I think it's near Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So I'll be up there. So I'll be back the following week. I might record a show that's going to play next weekend, but it won't be live. It'll be pre-recorded, but I might do that depending on if I can set up some time with Chuck Pierce, who I want to do a show with for that purpose, but I don't know. We will wait and see. I'm going to leave you guys with our outro here, and I will see you all on the next one.